Hey guys, today I'll show you a horror thriller film named The Kindred. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins late at night when a man gets into a car accident due to reckless driving. Paramedics find him still breathing and load him into an ambulance bound for the hospital. However, partway through the journey, the driver conspires with an outside party and sells the unconscious man. The buyer is the dean of a medical research institute. He checks the man delivered to him, only to find he's already dead. A flicker of disappointment crosses the dean's eyes. He then has his men bury the body, writing the deal off as a silent loss. However, the greedy driver, an addict who has already squandered the money, finds the dean later that night demanding double the payment. Not wanting a conflict, the dean takes the driver to his secret facility, which houses numerous animals for experiments. The dean explains his belief that he is a pioneer in developing new species, aiming to alter human thought and physiology, and even to control the direction of human evolution. He reveals this is why he buys near-dead individuals. The driver doesn't grasp the dean's complex speech and assumes he's just being taken to get his money. So when the dean opens a coded door, the driver walks in without hesitation. To his horror, the heavy door slams shut behind him. The driver panics, but his cries for help go unanswered. He then spots a person inside a fenced enclosure, thinking it might be an exit. However, a woman near the gate just grins foolishly at him before suddenly grabbing him. Seeing the grotesque, bizarre organ on her arm, the driver realizes she's not a normal person, but a human-animal hybrid monster. He struggles free, but at that moment, the iron gate to the enclosure opens, and all the nearby hybrids swarm towards him. The driver tries to stop the rising gate, but he is no match for them and is swiftly dragged inside. His agonizing chicken screams echo through the facility, yet no one else in the institute can hear them. The scene shifts to John, who also works at the institute. One day, he gets a message from his girlfriend. His mother, who had been in a coma, has woken up. They rush to the hospital to see her. On the way, his girlfriend recalls meeting the dean and remarks that he doesn't seem like a good person. But to John, the dean just looks a bit intimidating. He explains that the dean was a former colleague of his mother's, having worked with her at a bacteriological station. Moreover, the dean is highly respected in the field, with numerous prestigious medical awards, which is why his latest research is kept under strict secrecy. John isn't particularly concerned about it. His mind is entirely focused on his mother. The mother suffers from heart disease and Alzheimer's, and though she's awake, her words are confused. She tells John to go home and clean up her experiments, find her research on hemocyanin, and burn the report on his brother Anthony. However, as far as John knows, he has no relative named Anthony, let alone a brother. Puzzled, John goes to the dean, hoping for some clues. The dean seems equally baffled, claiming that despite working with John's mother for years, he never knew of anyone named Anthony. That very night, however, the dean visits the bedridden lady at the hospital. He asks her how many Anthonys there are, and the woman honestly replies that there are 4, revealing they are all her test subjects. The dean then shocks her by claiming that her son John has a good relationship with him and would surely tell him about Anthony. The woman tells the dean to stop dreaming, declaring she will make John end his collaboration with him and expose all of his dirty secrets. But in her current state, the woman is helpless. The emotional distress causes her heart to ache, yet the dean relentlessly questions her about the location of her experiment records. The woman, whose lucidity was only fleeting, soon suffers a fatal heart attack under the pressure. Tragically, John, kept in the dark, has no idea the dean is responsible for her death. The day after his mother's death, John holds a funeral for her. A woman named Melissa approaches him, introducing herself as a huge admirer of his mother and an expert in hemocyanin who had always wanted to join her project. Since John needs to sort through his mother's belongings, he invites Melissa to his family home over the weekend. John hasn't been home in a long time. The house, a beautiful villa on the outside, is in a surprisingly terrible state inside. There's no electricity or water, and the phone lines are dead. Fortunately, a backup generator behind the laundry room just needs a simple repair. At this point, John's girlfriend notices that the laundry room floor is moldy and a foul stench is wafting up from below, as if something terrible is hidden there. She urges John to investigate, but he dismisses her concerns, figuring the place has just been abandoned for a long time. He's more interested in spending some quality time with her. When he opens his old room, he finds it has been converted into a laboratory full of equipment by his mother. Thankfully, his childhood belongings are still there, including the music box with the lullaby she used to play to help him sleep. Unexpectedly, as the music plays, a sound comes from the laundry room. His girlfriend's dog runs over to check it out. It tries to bite a strange GPS tentacle but is dragged away. Neither of them notices the dog's disappearance, nor do they realize the front door is unlocked. Melissa walks in unannounced. By the time John sees her, she has already searched the entire house at midnight and found a design schematic for an incubator. The next day, John's 4 assistants arrive with plenty of food, including a giant watermelon. The girl in red, who brought it as an anniversary gift for her parents, puts it in the laundry room to keep it safe from others. It's said there's a cellar under the laundry room, accessible only by sliding down a chute in the bathroom, but no one is eager to check. To lighten the mood, John plays the soothing lullaby and assigns tasks to his assistants. But it's the first day of their department retreat, and no one is in the mood to work. John's girlfriend searches everywhere for her dog, but can't find a trace of it. A newbie assistant is captivated by Melissa's beauty and kisses her using his juicy tongue, but is taken aback by how unnaturally cold she is. He immediately gives up on pursuing her. Late that night, as the group gathers in the living room for dinner, they fail to notice a tentacle stealthily emerging from the foul-smelling laundry room and tampering with the watermelon. The girl in red later takes the watermelon to her car, still oblivious to anything wrong. As she drives toward her parents' house, she doesn't see a bizarre tentacle emerge from the watermelon shell in the back seat. As the tentacle probes, something even more terrifying breaks out. The tendrils quickly wrap around her sexy body, with some even entering her mouth, ears, and nostrils. The creature's true form is finally revealed. The girl in red is completely incapacitated as the out-of-control car plunges into a nearby river. The rest of the group is completely unaware that the girl in red has met her red end. Meanwhile, Melissa continues her routine of swimming by the coast every morning. She has been reviewing John's mother's early reports, which detail studies on the rise and fall of 3,000 marine species, but finds no mention of hemocyanin or Anthony. However, a blonde assistant discovers a clue while listening to research recordings. Amidst records of hundreds of life forms, she hears a mention of Anthony. Hemocyanin was detected in his blood, proving John's mother's DNA research was a success. But the joy of success in the recording is abruptly interrupted by the roar of a beast. The eerie sound sends chilling turds down everyone's spine to their butt. In the recording, John's mother calmly starts singing the same lullaby John remembers from his childhood. But this time, it's clear she's not soothing him, but the roaring monster. Hearing his mother's gentle voice used in this way leaves John with a deeply unsettling feeling. The next day, a sidekick assistant decides to help John's girlfriend look for her dog. In a storage shed, he finds the dog's dead body. As the sidekick assistant moves to inspect it, a few drops of slime fall from the ladder behind him. Before he can figure out what it is, a tentacle lunges out and attacks him, piercing a bloody hole in his neck. The sidekick assistant grabs a sickle from the wall and frantically hacks at the tentacle binding him. The moment it releases him in pain, he runs back to the villa for help. Melissa is the first to hear him, but when the others arrive, she lies, claiming the sidekick assistant was bitten by a rabid dog. The sidekick assistant, who has passed out, can't correct her. He is quickly sent to the hospital. When he regains consciousness, although he doesn't understand why Melissa lied, he tells John that it wasn't a rabid dog that attacked him. Before he can explain further, he falls unconscious again. In his medical report, John discovers that the sidekick assistant's blood contains hemocyanin. Meanwhile, Melissa, unnoticed, slips into the cellar under the laundry room. In the depths, she finds 3 biological incubation tanks next to a massive oxygen supply system and what appears to be Anthony's research report. Suddenly, she hears a strange gurgling sound from one of the tanks, as if a creature inside has awakened. Curious, Melissa unscrews the lid. The creature that was sleeping inside turns its head to look at her, giving her a fright. She hastily puts the lid back on, accidentally severing one of the small creature's arms in the process. She doesn't tell anyone about this terrifying experience. When a confused John returns, she maintains her composure, asserting that hemocyanin exists only in marine life and couldn't possibly be in a human. Therefore, even if it wasn't a rabid dog that attacked the sidekick assistant, it couldn't have been a monster with hemocyanin. She suggests the sidekick assistant might have accidentally been exposed to it in John's mother's lab. Although her explanation is flimsy, no one can refute it, and John reluctantly accepts it. That night, Melissa, dressed in her nightgown, finds John with a bottle of strong liquor, clearly with ill intentions. After sitting down, she kisses him, but without a hormone yoga session. John, not wanting to betray his girlfriend, rejects her hormone advances and has a drink with her as an apology. Later that night, John is in a deep, drugged sleep. Melissa sneaks into his room, takes his car keys, and drives to the dean's research facility. The item she delivers to the dean is the small creature whose arm she severed, a developing Anthony monster. It's revealed that Melissa is a spy planted by the dean to steal Anthony's data. The dean is unhappy with her progress. Besides the 4 test subjects, there is a detailed research report. But after all this time, Melissa has only brought back a defective specimen. In truth, Melissa hates being a spy, but her life is in the dean's hands. She needs the medicine he provides to survive. Recently, the medicine has become less effective. Her body is as cold as a corpse, and she can barely sleep. The dean promises to give her a stronger dose on the condition that she brings back a live Anthony. With no other choice, Melissa agrees to his terms. The day the sidekick assistant is supposed to be discharged, John and the blonde assistant go to the hospital to pick him up, but the doctor tells them he needs to stay for further observation. They detected large amounts of hemocyanin in his blood. The hospital had a similar case last year, and that patient didn't survive. An autopsy revealed the patient's body was saturated with hemocyanin. The doctor gives John the patient's file, and John recognizes the name, who is one of John's mother's employees. Suspicious, John has the blonde assistant secretly take a sample of the sidekick assistant's hemocyanin-laced blood as the doctor leaves the room. Back at the house that evening, John tells the others what he's discovered. The employee was killed near the villa last year, and he believes the same monster that killed him also attacked the sidekick assistant, a hybrid creature created by John's mother. Although he has no concrete proof, John urges everyone else to leave while he stays behind to finish what his mother started and terminate the experiment for good. Melissa, however, objects, arguing that this was John's mother's life's work and that her dying wish, made while she was ill, shouldn't be taken seriously. As Melissa and John argue, the lights in the house suddenly go out. The newbie assistant assumes the generator is out of fuel and goes outside to handle it. John then catches him siphoning gasoline from a car. Earlier that morning, John had noticed his car's gas tank was low and had assumed the newbie assistant had stolen some the night before. But when confronted, the newbie assistant looks completely confused. Clearly, someone else used the car. The newbie suspects Melissa is the culprit, citing her abnormally cold body temperature and her constant opposition to John as classic villain behavior. But John thinks the newbie assistant is just making excuses. Annoyed, the newbie assistant mockingly says John is always fantasizing about finding some hybrid monster. His words inadvertently spark a realization in John. He can't help but wonder what if his brother Anthony is the hybrid monster. So he rushes into the lab and compares the hemocyanin with his own blood. He discovers they are astonishingly similar. It turns out his mother, needing human cells for her hybrid research, had taken them from her own son John and combined them with the cells of a marine organism to create the hybrid known as Anthony. This truth stuns everyone. Before they can process the information, a terrified scream echoes from outside. The newbie assistant, desperate to leave, runs to start a car. Before he can even turn the key, the monster appears and lifts the vehicle. The newbie assistant scrambles out and flees back to the villa as the car is effortlessly overturned. Meanwhile, at the hospital, the sidekick assistant awakens. He realizes the staff has been keeping him sedated and constantly drawing his blood for research. Refusing to be a test subject, he breaks free from his restraints, fights his way past nurses and security, steals an ambulance, and speeds back towards the villa. Inside the house, Melissa finally shows her true and greasy colors. Using a tranquilizer gun given to her by the dean, she tries to force John and the others to capture Anthony alive, explaining that the dean is the only doctor willing to treat her condition. Before she can finish, a tentacle smashes through a window. Standing right in front of it, Melissa is seized by the waist and dragged outward. John and the newbie assistant rush to pull her back, but the tentacle is immense this time, and their combined strength is not enough. In a moment of quick thinking, John grabs a fire poker and stabs it into the tentacle's sucker. A large amount of hemocyanin sprays from the wound. Anthony retracts the tentacle in pain, but Melissa, now covered in hemocyanin, begins to show strange symptoms. Her body temperature plummets to freezing, and she convulses in agony. It's clear she doesn't have much time left. In her final moments, she tells John that Anthony's report is hidden in the cellar. Then her body begins to mutate uncontrollably. Her internal organs deform, and as the others watch in horror, she grows gills. They finally understand. She is also a human-animal hybrid. Overwhelming panic and helplessness grip them. As they stand paralyzed, one of Anthony's tentacles snakes up through the laundry chute. It wraps tightly around the newbie assistant's leg, trying to drag him down. The scene erupts into chaos. In the confusion, John's girlfriend finds a bottle of chemicals and, without a second thought, pours it onto the GPS tentacle. The creature recoils in pain again. During the commotion, Melissa curls into a ball, seemingly lifeless. Seizing the opportunity, John and his girlfriend run to the laundry room to block the door, fearing Anthony will break in. They forget, however, that the laundry room floor is old and rotten. Inevitably, his girlfriend falls through into the long-neglected water tank below, a pitch-black and foul-smelling pit. John quickly gets a rope to pull her heavy body up, but instead of securing it around her, she just grabs the end. Unsurprisingly, she falls back in. Groping in the darkness, she climbs out of the water and onto the edge, completely unaware of the Anthony monster lurking in a corner. It attacks her. John, coming down to rescue her, hears her screams and fires a tranquilizer dart in the direction of the sound. The hit creature retreats back into the water, giving John and his girlfriend a chance to escape by climbing up the chute into the bathroom. At the same time, the sidekick assistant arrives back at the villa. He and two other assistants are in the laundry room when Anthony attacks again. The blonde assistant falls into the water tank in panic, but Anthony isn't finished. It tries to climb up the slanted floorboards. Before it can succeed, the familiar lullaby begins to play from the second floor. This was John's idea. In the old research recordings, his mother had used the lullaby to soothe a rampaging Anthony. John tells his girlfriend to keep the recorder playing while he goes downstairs to regroup with the other two assistants. He has decided to kill Anthony. The plan is simple: electrocute it while it's calm. However, as the three of them prepare, the dean, having heard nothing from Melissa, bursts into the villa armed with a gun. Despite the threat, John doesn't abandon his plan. They tie raw meat to electrical wires to lure Anthony into swallowing them. Once everything is in place, John distracts the dean while the other two hide by the generator to turn on the power. As the electricity surges, Anthony's massive body and tentacles are blown to bits. In its death throes, it tries to pull the wires from its body, only to tear its own flesh apart. The dean runs towards Anthony in horror, not even bothering to wipe off the hemocyanin splattered on him. But Anthony shows no concern for the dean's distress. As it melts into a pool of gore, it musters a final act of revenge, using a GPS tentacle to track and drag the dean down into the water tank with it. The mastermind drowns in the filthy water alongside his creation. But the danger isn't over. Anthony's hemocyanin has a catalytic effect, and it has been sprayed everywhere, including the cellar. While retrieving the research report, the newbie assistant discovers that the hybrid creatures inside the tanks have all been activated and are waking up. One of them even leaps through a pipe and latches onto the girlfriend's face. John quickly smashes the creature to kill it. Meanwhile, the newbie assistant, under attack by countless small monsters, decides to send them all to hell. He throws gas canisters and gasoline into the cellar, then creates a fuse with a lit cigarette at the end. Unaware of his plan, John returns to find him and, by chance, rescues the blonde assistant, who had survived the fall. Just as the fuse burns down, they make a frantic dash for the outside. Fortunately, their protagonist's plot armor is strong enough. They not only fulfill John's mother's final wish, but also manage to survive, achieving their own version of a happy ending. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.